welcome, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the recorded version, welcome to the Senior Supports and Next Step presentation from members of the senior team, the class of 2026 team here at McHenry High School. My name is Curtis Menke. I'm the College and Career Counselor. Ms. Buchanan, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm Amy Buchanan. I have seniors A through LE.
Ms.
Kate
Schock?
Schock. I also have seniors, last names LF through Z.
Kristen?
Hi, I'm a guest. I'm Kristen Mueller. I'm the Director of Admissions and Recruitment at McHenry County College.
All right. Again, thank you. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching the recorded versions, I'm going to take a moment and pull my three colleagues backstage here. So for the next hour or so, we're going to talk about various supports, resources, not only for our seniors, but also for the parents and guardians of said seniors to make sure that you feel supported and that you have the knowledge and tools to best assist your students as well as yourself through the process. Just a quick reminder, here are members of the class of 2026 team here at McHenry High School. You got Patrice Frederick. She is the Assistant Principal of Student Services. You already heard from the three of us. Ms. Chaya is the social worker that serves the senior team. Maura Reed is the prevention and wellness coordinator. Lauren Nemec, the school psychologist, and then Kara Basinger for all of your dean needs. Just a few moments about other members of our department. Our social worker and psychologists will provide individual support to students, group supports in the moment, support. Sometimes students, just life happens and they need a moment to cope and recover before they can re-engage with learning. Additionally, for those familiar with where our social workers and psychologists used to be, that we actually have a new center for them and new offices. It's called the Warrior Support Center, formerly known as the Chill Zone. It's in a new location, which is on the 3rd floor of the upper campus, right across from the upstairs entrance to the auditorium, for those familiar with where that is. Great new space, not only for our staff, but also for the students that we serve. Getting on to the next step programming here in our presentation. Just kind of a reminder, the next couple of slides that we'd like to show to all seniors at the beginning of the school year, just to kind of remind them of the purpose of what we're doing, as well as to kind of help them frame how to engage with the process over the next several months. All careers have value and dignity. We really mean that when we say that. And despite the fact that it is okay to not have everything planned out, it is time to act. And that's a very tricky and hard thing to ask of 17 and 18-year-olds. Normally as humans, we are not wired to act on things that we're not certain of, things we have doubts about. And so that is the tricky balance that we will do our best with this year. Every year, to make things simpler, to make the big scary topic known as the future a little easier to digest, we like to boil down our actions into one word that captures that year. Senior year, that word is act. So we're taking action on our next step ideas. Just a friendly reminder, by the time our students get to 12th grade, most of the specific graduation requirements have been met as far as the individual academic classes. In the green box there are the commonly senior courses that most students still have to take senior year to account for to meet their remaining graduation requirements. Most students going into senior year still have a credit of English left, a credit of PE, United States government, consumer education, and most still have a couple elective credits left to go. The next moment or two, we're just going to kind of remind everyone of the main resources that our students and families have. All but a couple of these are stored in a course in Schoology that we call Next Step Resources. Each of our 4 graduating classes has a very similar course like this, that it's not only accessible to our students, but also to our families. I will still boldly say that your counseling team is your primary resource, both for you as parents and guardians, as well as for your students. As far as the digital resources, we'll go through a couple of them here. This one is actually the only thing that is not housed in that Schoology course. Every week, every Monday morning, seniors as well as every other grade level plus the staff gets an email from me capturing some upcoming opportunities, both within the walls of McHenry High School, as well as out in the community, how-tos, when-tos, tips, things like that. SchoolLinks is our primary online post-secondary readiness, college and career readiness program. It does all the things you can see on the right side of the screen. Senior year, the 3 at the bottom tend to be what we use it the most with. There's a scholarship search in there. For students who are applying to four-year colleges, it provides additional supports. It is also the program we use to send transcripts and letters of recommendation directly to four-year colleges. This resource is a kind of a DIY bespoke resource that we've made called the College and Career Guide. It looks like a Google slide because technically it is, but it works like a website. You click on the topic that you want support with or you want more information about, and it will take you to more information about that. Senior year, the four-year college applying section is a huge resource for our students who are taking action on that pathway. And the one near the top right, financial aid scholarships, is one that tends to catch the attention of our parents and guardians. As always, we bring guests into our building to share their institutional opportunities with our students. There is a link to the full list that you see here in the screenshot in our presentation. The full list is in that Schoology course that we looked at before. So you can see what individual college reps are attending the high school here, military recruiters, upcoming events, career speakers. We encourage our seniors to check in with any institution that they are considering, especially those that they are taking action on. Couple other upcoming events. In mid-September, we're going to have a standalone financial aid and scholarships presentation. This is the topic that tends to scare people the most, understandably so, and we want to make sure that we give ample time to fully inform our families on this topic. We will mention a few things on this topic during this presentation, but if you want the deep dive, the evening of September 17th, 6 o'clock in the Upper Campus Warrior Room, we'll have an in-person session. And then the following day, kind of like this format, we will have another live stream, whether you watch it live in real time or the recorded version right there in YouTube. A couple other events coming up. We have our annual MTI Expo, which is a great opportunity for our students looking at technical and trades-based careers. The next evening, MCC hosts a big four-year college fair where they bring in over 100 schools, some regionally, some nationally. And then towards the end of October, we have a couple great opportunities for students looking at military options. Just as a quick reminder, for students who are considering going into college athletics, especially at the Division I and Division II level, those are the ones that can offer athletic scholarships, it is vital that your child's school counselor knows that they are considering that. There's very specific steps that have to be followed, requirements. We want to make sure that we are best equipped to help your student as well as yourself if your student is considering Division I or Division II college athletics. This slide right here, our students see from me a lot because honestly, it kind of captures the whole point of my job, which is to help students figure out and act on what they do next. I'm going to take a moment and just share a couple of fun facts with our listeners and viewers. And these fun facts come from statistics from last year's graduating class, the class of 2025. Up in the top left, 6% of last year's graduates went into the military. 6% of anything doesn't sound like much. However, only 1% of high school graduates these days tend to enlist in the military. We had 6 times that in last year's graduating class. Going down to four-year colleges, students who started away from home on campus at a four-year college, 29% of the class of 2025 did that. In the lower left, 32% of McHenry High School students started at a community college with the intent to transfer, with almost all of those 32% being at our local community college, McHenry County College. And in the top right, technical trades, I'm going to give a couple of different numbers here. 20%, 1 in 5 of last year's seniors went to a community college for a technical or trades option, with almost all of those, again, being MCC. 4% of last year's class looked at or is going into an apprenticeship through a labor union. That is double the prior year. Very excited about that. Another 3% are going to a private technical or trade school, with most of those being cosmetology schools. And we had another couple of percent who went directly into industry with some of our strongest local industry partners in the community. Before going on here, as you can see from the comments scrolling across the bottom of the screen, again, our live viewers, you can actually submit us questions right here. So for the folks who are watching this in the true live stream format, in the comment section right there on YouTube, you can actually ask us questions. and we will interact directly with you. We will address those at the end of the presentation, but you are welcome to drop any questions in there now. I'll keep an eye on the ones that roll in, and we will certainly address all of those at the end. As far as immediate actions for our seniors who are considering the military, my next recommendation on an immediate action would be to make sure that they are talking with the recruiter or recruiters of branches that they are considering. Make sure that they take the ASVAB, which we will again be offering in a couple of months here at McHenry High School. Those also can be arranged through the recruiters. And also just to make sure that our students are including their family in the process. Joining the military is a very different type of commitment than the other next step options we look at, and we want to make sure our students recognize that and include their families. Apprenticeships, I mentioned this a moment ago, 4% of last year's grads went into some kind of labor union-based apprenticeship program. At the bottom of the screen are the two primary apprenticeship providers locally. One are the labor unions, your classic trades-based options, electrician, plumbers, roofers, construction workers. MCC is also a nationally approved apprenticeship provider, and they partner with almost a dozen local manufacturers to provide an apprenticeship program that way as well. This screen right here, I like to include in this presentation because I want it to overwhelm our viewers. These are most, not all, but most of the non-transfer options that our students can do at our local community college, MCC. Again, 20%, 1 in 5 of last year's seniors did something on the screen here. These are non-transfer programs that can be done anywhere from 2 years on down to a matter of months. Low cost, local training, applicable through our local industry partners. This slide right here kind of describes, and we're transitioning now to students who are considering starting away at a four-year college. There's all sorts of reasons that our students consider. What do they want? What do they need? On the screen are examples of what we call fit factors, factors that our students consider when they are looking at four-year schools. It's kind of like snowflakes. No two searches are the same, nor should they be. What does your student want? What does your student need? And based on some of the factors on the screen, how can we use those to identify schools that align with what a student wants and needs? How many? That's a big question we get at this time of the year. How many schools should I apply to if I'm applying to four-year colleges? 4 to 8 is my recommended range. Not too few, not too many. I like to have at least 1 or 2 be schools that are more likely to be accepted to, just so we have a safe bet or 2 in there. Just as a friendly reminder, McHenry County College accepts everyone, as long as you're on track to earn a high school diploma, which I would hope that all of our students are. I have seen students apply to as many as 40 colleges before. Folks, please don't let your student do that to themselves. Every college that a student applies to will open a portal and increase the emails they're getting from that school. Do you really want your student having to keep up with 40 different portals, 40 different sets of communications? Keep things reasonable. We also recommend at least 4 just because we want to have options. Even if your student is only looking at 1 or 2 schools, we still recommend at least 4, if nothing else, to see what financial options are made available as well. We don't want to limit ourselves too much here. A couple more slides for me, and then I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, Ms. Schock, here in a couple of slides. On the screen now is just kind of a general recommendation. We have our local community college, MCC, plus the 12 public universities in Illinois. I strongly recommend that our students include at least 1, if not 2, of the schools on the screen in their final application list. I'm not trying to push everybody to stay in Illinois. I'm not trying to push people at just these 13 schools. However, these 13 schools can do things in combination that most others in the state, let alone in the nation, can't. They all legally must give college credit for an AP score of 3 or above. They all, since our dual credits at McHenry High School are earned through MCC, MCC is a public school in Illinois. The other 12 on the screen are also public schools in Illinois, so they are all but assured to transfer. Additionally, our students who demonstrate the ability to communicate and speak in 2 different languages may earn the seal of biliteracy, demonstrating said ability. These 13 schools must give college credit for any student who earns the seal of biliteracy. So especially important for our bilingual students to include a couple of the schools on the screen here. Additionally, these schools on the screen, for students who qualify, more on that later, there's a big grant that is awarded to some families from the state of Illinois. All the schools on the screen will accept that grant. A couple more things from me. There's a new initiative in Illinois called One Click Admit. The 8 schools on the screen, all of which are public universities in Illinois, if your student's GPA going into senior year is at or above that number, and they apply to that school, they will be automatically admitted. For some, there might be a school or two on the screen that is at the top of their list. I had a senior in my office 45 minutes ago that is primarily looking at 2 of the schools on the screen. For others, it could be a safe bet. You know, it's nice to have 1 or 2 options that are kind of sure things for you. And then my last slide before I turn things over to Ms. Schock, kind of going back to finances. For families who qualify, for families whose income from the year 2024 is at or below the number on the screen, if your student is accepted and meets certain GPA requirements, they might be able to attend that school tuition free. Another advantage to taking a look at the public universities in Illinois, certainly not limiting you to those schools. And the private schools can often come up with money as well. But again, I like to have a sure bet or two, something that is known going into the process. I am going to pull my colleague, Kate Schock, back onto the screen here. Hello, Mrs. Schock.
Hello.
On to the next slide for you. Go ahead and take it away.
Perfect. All right. So when should your students be applying? So we had some really successful college application workshops right before school started. So some of our students have already started applying, which is great. The typical range would be between September and November when we want your students to be applying for their list of colleges. So we went over that with seniors on how they get started in SchoolLinks, some of the deadlines that they should be paying attention to. Early action deadlines. We encourage all of our students to meet these early action deadlines. A lot of colleges are going to take a majority of their applicants in that first wave. So it's definitely good for them to pay attention to those deadlines and make sure that they get their applications in sooner rather than later. There are also some majors that may have deadlines that are separate from the application deadline. So we're just encouraging all of our students to pay attention to all of the deadlines that they have for specific colleges. If a college has rolling admissions, that means that they are taking applicants throughout the year and they don't necessarily have to meet a specific deadline. The application types, so students can, if they know for sure they are going to apply to U of I or ISU, they can certainly go on to those websites and actually just click apply right through their website. A lot of students will choose to do Common App, which we'll talk about on, I believe, the next screen. So Common Application is where over 1,100 four-year colleges house applications. It saves your student a lot of time if they create a Common App account. It organizes all of their applications in one place, which we know is very good for some of our unorganized students. It's super easy for them to start. We have a lot of students who have already started. Ms. Buchanan and I are going through some of the students who are already requesting things from us, which is great. The nice thing is, like I said, they will organize it for you. You do still have to pay each school's separate application fee, as well as pay attention to the specific requirements that other colleges may have. Some may require essays and things like that, and it will all be included in that Common App. How they can apply for fee waivers for students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. They can come see one of the counselors. I also know that we have had students who are requesting it through SchoolLinks, which is really simple for them to do. And then we're verifying on the back end whether they qualify for free and reduced lunch here. And then we are able to verify that they qualify for those application fee waivers. Requesting transcripts. Like I said, we are doing this through SchoolLinks. All of your seniors should be well-versed on how to log into their SchoolLinks account. When they go into SchoolLinks, they can go into that college app tab, and then it should be able to walk them through exactly what they need to request from us. Their transcript are going to be sent from us. They also have the opportunity or the option to download it for themselves. If they're self-reporting their grades for certain things, they can do that all on their own. Standardized test scores. So most colleges have moved to being test optional. I know there are a few select ones. I believe Mr. Menke said Purdue, Lafayette, and Ohio State in the Midwest are ones that are now requiring students to send their test scores in. But for most students and most colleges, they are still going to be test optional. You don't have to send your test scores for admittance. It is still a good idea to send them for scholarship purposes. You may need them and things like that. But sending or not sending your test scores is not going to make or break your admittance. For college essays, we're encouraging students to pay attention to what their college is asking them to do. Not every college they're going to have to write an essay. A lot of times it's going to be more of a personal essay, so they can kind of tailor it to, write one essay and then tailor it to different colleges based on what their requirements are. We are encouraging students to be authentic. Do not use ChatGPT. Show your best self and really say in your essay what your transcript is not saying about you. Letters of recommendation. Same thing as really paying attention to what these colleges are asking for. If a college is not asking for you to have letters of recommendation, don't send them. If you do, you're basically saying you don't know how to follow directions right off the bat. So really pay attention to what colleges are asking for. And then if they are asking for you to have letters of recommendation, have your student request them in person if it's a teacher they have, or at least via email if it's a teacher or staff member that they don't see all the time, and let them know that they are requesting it, because we may get a notification in school links, but our inboxes get flooded with a lot of educational spam and just in general a lot of emails. So it's easy that it could get missed if we're not on the lookout for what they're asking from us. Disability services, if you or your student has a 504 or an IEP, you can take the most recent copy of that to the Office of Disabilities at any college, and then they will take a look over the accommodations and see what they would be able to provide as a college. So they aren't always going to be able to provide every accommodation the way that it's listed in high school, but they will take a look at it and see what's appropriate for them at the college level. And I'm going to pass it off to Ms. Buchanan.
Hi, Ms. Buchanan, seniors A through LE. Just to recap that, I'm going to talk about financial aid and the different types of financial aid. There are grants, which is the favorite because those are free. That's free money that you don't have to pay back. There are loans, and then there's work study. Work study is where students can get a job on campus, and it's really nice because it's flexible around their schedule. It's not a bad idea to have your students check that they're interested in work study. It doesn't make them, they don't automatically have to do it, but at least they can be found eligible for it if they want the opportunity to work on campus. So there is the financial aid application opens up on October 1st, crossing our fingers. So we will need students to start doing it then. We'll have different workshops and stuff. It is part of the Illinois graduation requirement. So that is something that we will need all students to do. FAFSA, just to kind of go over the importance of it. FAFSA is not only good for four-year colleges, it's also good for community colleges, also different private tech and trade schools. Like say your student isn't going to necessarily go to MCC or a four-year college, but they want to go to like cosmetology school. There's also FAFSA that's available for those types of schools also. Mr. Menke wanted me to mention that last year out of the class of 2025, 84% of the class did go into as their next step different options that they were able to have financial aid. They were financial aid eligible for. So it is a big deal. We don't want you to pay full price. We want to make sure that you are getting all the free money and scholarships that you can. It's just a very important thing to fill out. When you go in to fill out the application, the most important thing is making sure that you're completing the 2026-2027 application. You will see in there like the prior year, which if there are students that are graduating early, they would do the prior application if they would like aid for like this spring coming up, the 2026 spring. But as far as most of our students, they are going to start in the fall of next year. So they would be completing the 26-27 FAFSA. Another important thing we want to make sure that we draw attention to is there's this specific website, the FAFSA.gov is the one that you want to do. There are different FAFSA, FAFSA.com or different FAFSA websites out there that are scams. So we want to make sure that you are going on to the proper website, which ends in .gov. If there are students that don't have a Social Security number, there is also an option. They don't fill out the FAFSA. Instead, they would fill out an alternative application. And that way they are able to see if they're eligible for aid. If a student has a Social Security number, but the parents do not, then they would still submit the FAFSA. So there are different situations that we are happy to help the students decide which application they need to fill out. But there is an opportunity for students without Social Security numbers. So scholarships in general, there's lots of different types of scholarships that are available for students. The biggest scholarship is from the institution itself. When students apply to an institution, the institution, when they do the acceptance letter, they will include like merit scholarships, the academic and merit scholarships. There's also different need-based scholarships. Obviously, like Mr. Menke mentioned earlier, if a student is going to play at the Division I or Division II level in college playing a sport, then they may have athletic scholarships. There's also national scholarships available. I know that those may seem like a long shot, but you know, we have had students that have received those awards in the past, so that's not a bad idea to also apply for those. Some of them can be pretty hefty amounts of money. Also, a lot of times parents have at their workplace, they may have scholarships for children. I know like Walmart has them. There's different places that they have specific scholarships that are available for children of employees. So it's a good idea to make sure that you're checking all areas, but the biggest one will be the actual college that you'll receive the most amount of money. Just some things to go over as far as what your senior should be doing during their first semester of senior year. We want to make sure that they're kind of making sure that they have all their graduation requirements. They can double check that with Ms. Schock and myself. Also, if they have any questions, we've been encouraging them to set an appointment with Mr. Menke as like the expert for college and career. We always encourage them to meet with any reps from schools or any military personnel or whatever their next step is going to be. We have a variety of people that come in to meet with our students to let them know about next step opportunities. If a student is considering applying for admission in early action, that's something that is recommended. A lot of times they might get more aid, or there's a better chance of them getting accepted if they apply early action. And that deadline is November 1st. So like Ms. Schock said, we're really encouraging students to apply, between now and November 1st for colleges. Although, like she had mentioned, there is some colleges that are rolling admissions, so they'll continue to accept them. But a lot of colleges do want you to apply by November 1st. We also have, like I had mentioned before, FAFSA is hopefully opening and going to be all good for October. So that's good. We're liking kids to fill out applications, at least 4 colleges to pick for, applying. Institutions, including ones that are likely where they meet the criteria as far as grade point average. Also, we want kids to go into the school links to make sure they're looking at the scholarship searches. So there's a lot of different things that they should be doing right now, and we are meeting with them as big groups and then smaller groups as far as like their aims to go over all of this stuff. So we will be covering it, and as always, they can set up appointments with Ms. Schock, myself, or Mr. Menke if they have any other questions. In the second semester of their senior year, that's where it gets even more exciting, because then they're starting to get their acceptance letters back. We encourage them to please, don't feel bad about coming in. It gets very overwhelming. I've had 3 children in college myself. I have 1 left. But those comparison comparing the different letters and the different offers per se can get awfully confusing. So please encourage your children to bring those into us to help us decipher. But colleges would like you to make the decision, or the students to make the decision by May 1st. At that time, the second semester, we're completing FAFSA. If we haven't already done that, we're looking at different scholarships. By then, we'll have our local scholarships listed, and we'll be obviously encouraging the students to do all of these things, and we'll be more than happy to help them with those. We're going to have every Thursday during AIM where students can come in, and we will be available to help them with applications or scholarships or whatever they need. So we are here to help. And I'm going to turn it over to Krista Mueller from MCC.
Hi, my name is Krista Mueller. I am the Director of Admissions and Recruitment at McHenry County College. So I'm going to go over some information about the college itself, as opportunities, options for you as you're considering your next steps, as well as a little snapshot of what those next steps would look like. So a little bit about MCC. If you attend this McHenry High School, you are already in district with McHenry County College. It is you're inside our residence boundaries for in-district tuition. So we're here to support you as part of our own community. We have a really strong community. We want to support each other, support the industries in our area, and support our students. So part of that is being open admission, rolling admission. So everybody who applies to the college is accepted. It's also low cost as an in-district resident. So we'll get into those exact examples, but so lots of benefits to coming to a place that's nearby, that has lots of great programming, that doesn't cost too much. And we also have a lot of programs that would meet someone's needs. So if you're planning on taking classes to then continue on at a 4-year institution, we can do that. We have classes to help you get straight into a career upon your graduation from us, as well as individual courses, either maybe the summer before you go off to a different college, or let's say dual credit already during your high school experience. So there's a lot of different ways to provide our residents of our own community a lot of great experiences. So this is a snapshot of our campus. So there are 7 buildings, and they're all connected. So our campus is very walkable. It's easy to get from the farthest end to the other farthest end. It's not as far as it seems, but it is big enough so that you're not always running into the same people. You have a lot of different places to go and things to do and see. So it's a campus that is close, and it's small but large at the same time. So a little bit more about, I mentioned that all students who apply are accepted. We have a really fast application process. So once you submit it, you should hear back from us the next business day that you've been accepted. So that's a really fast turnaround. Our application actually opens on September 2nd for those who are thinking about coming to us next fall. So keep an eye on that. But as far as costs for an in-district person, that cost is about $121 per credit hour. So, but that means for most classes are 3 credits. That means that that class costs about $500, and that's a lot of money, right? But that's way less than most other colleges. Most colleges per class are going to cost you $1,500 to $2,000 per class. So you really save a ton of money in that regard. But the programs at McHenry County College are also financial aid eligible. So we really encourage everybody to apply for the FAFSA, because that FAFSA, those grants that come through the FAFSA, could cover the entire cost of your education. A lot of students have that full cost of education covered through that, and then they actually get a refund check because they didn't use it all. So that money would come back to them. They can use that for gas money or pizza or whatever that they spend their money on. So really highly encourage everybody to apply for the FAFSA and for the alternative application to see what all your opportunities are from that regard. On top of that, MCC also offers scholarships. We have scholarships that range from $500 to full tuition. And so those students who are thinking about coming to MCC this spring because they're early graduates, that application opens soon in September, and that deadline is October 8th. But those students who are coming to MCC next fall, that application for scholarships will be due this coming April. So keep an eye on that and definitely apply for those scholarship opportunities. A little bit more about the experience of being an MCC student. We have small class sizes. Most classes are about 20 people total, so kind of similar to high school. So you get to know your instructor, you get to know your other classmates. You're taught by content experts, people who are really good at what they do and they really care about your learning. We have lots of hands-on learning experiences. Like this picture here is our precision machining lab. You know, as we try to make it as much hands-on as possible, no matter where you're learning. So a lot of really cool things happening at the college. And in another support, talking about accommodations, if you received an IEP or a 504 in high school, you may be eligible for accommodations in college. So make sure for MCC to reach out to our Access and Disability Services office to start that intake process. We can create accommodations for you in college as well. And something else that people don't always think about is the way that how flexible college can be to your specific needs. So you can choose to take a full load of classes and graduate as fast as possible, or you could be part-time. Let's say you're working full-time and that you just wanted to take 1 or 2 classes or 3 classes at a time to get through that program while you're supporting yourself, your family. You can do that. And you get to choose, is it in the morning, afternoon, evening? Is it an online class or a blended class or in-person class? So you really get to design your own experience when you're in college to meet the needs of your particular speed and your learning preferences and needs as well. Another little piece about success is that we do also have a lot of support for students themselves through our tutoring, academic and tutoring services. We have 24-hour online tutoring as well as in-person tutoring in our new Learning Commons where our library is located. We have our advising support to help students figure out which classes they need to take in which order to graduate on time and to transfer smoothly to wherever they're going on to if that's what they're looking to do, as well as career services to help people find the right match for what they plan to do in the long term, get internship experience, or work on their resume, work on their interviewing skills so that by the time they're ready to go into those next steps, they're ready to be hireable. So a lot of great ways to make sure that you are getting the most out of your experience so that you can get hired in the long run or get onto your next school if that's your plan. And then a little bit about student life too is that students do have a full college experience at this college. We have clubs and events, we have student jobs, athletics, our fitness center. So there's a lot of different ways students engage beyond the classroom itself. So our students today, we're doing a big event downstairs. There's always something happening and we have a lot of pride in our student life. Now, a little bit more about our degrees and certificates. We kind of have those 2 different branches. Our branch that are for students who are planning to take classes that meet like general education requirements and then continue on for their junior and senior year of their college experience for their 4-year bachelor's degree. So those would be our transfer degrees. And then we have our Associates of Applied Science and certificates, which are our career-focused programs. So we have 2-year college degrees for those careers, as well as shorter versions of those career programs through our certificates. So a lot of different options, which we won't cover in detail right now, but So many different ways for you to get ready for your next step after high school and beyond. So if you are thinking about starting at MCC, then transferring on to another school, we can help you figure out which associate's degree would be the right fit for you. For those who are going into more science or math related long-term majors, then you might be doing an associate's in science because there's more science and math in that particular program versus an associate's in arts. So associate's in arts covers pretty much all other majors. That means liberal arts, and those are your general education core plus your major specific classes. We also have transfer programs for those going into fine arts and music, as well as engineering. So depending on what your long-term major is going to be, we can help you figure out which one of these associate's degrees would best match the needs for where you're going on to after MCC. And then a little bit more about transferring is that we transfer to schools across the United States. We have a lot of really strong local partners, but we do have, we work with schools all across the US. So these are just some quick little list of some of our transfer plans. So we have plans both by university as well as by major. So if you're not sure where you want to transfer on yet, you can search by, your major area and see a list of schools that we work with closely or specific to the schools you're looking at. So even if you're considering something that's not on this list of where we have transfer guides, we still work with schools across the US. So the sooner that you have an idea of where you think you might want to go, the sooner you want to bring that to our academic advising office to make sure that you're planning the right courses to make sure you have a seamless transition for when you do transfer. And we have a lot of ways for you to figure that out. You don't have to know that immediately, but the earlier you have a good idea, the better planning we can do with you. So we also have a new opportunity. It's through our University Center at McHenry County College. So the picture you see here is actually our Catalyst campus. This is where the University Center is located. Catalyst campus is actually in Woodstock. It's its own building near the Woodstock Square. So pretty close to a lot of action. And what that is that we've invited 4 different universities to come to that campus to teach their degrees for bachelor completion as well as master's degrees. So if you wanted to transfer from MCC to the University Center, you wouldn't have to move away necessarily. We're going to bring all those instructors to you for that bachelor's degree. That building also houses some of our other learning opportunities as well. So there's kind of a lot going on there. But I believe in the next slide, we're going to see all those different program options and all the different universities that we currently partner with. So these are the 4 universities that we're partnered with. They're with their specific majors and bachelor's degrees as well as some master's degrees you see listed here. So as you'll see, they do not, overlap. So we've done that intentionally so that they're not drawing students from one another. They're working together to make sure that we're trying to cover as many bases as possible. So you'll see some of these traditional transfer plans as well as some of those things we said that don't transfer. You can actually complete here as well. Like for example, I just saw it, like criminal justice is an example here. So these are opportunities for you to go on and get that bachelor's degree and start working or kind of stay close to home as you're going through that process. It doesn't replace the traditional transfer option. That is obviously still an option too. This is just now another option. If going away to a 4-year wasn't really a best fit, this could be a good option for you instead. So we do have a college fair coming up October 9th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. So I encourage everybody to come to the college fair to walk around, talk to over 100 different colleges, learn about what their options are, and just talk to those reps about what those next steps might be. So come on out. We again have this not just MCC. It's just going to be we're hosting it. So come talk to all these different 4-year universities locally and further away, so that you can figure out what you're doing next. Now, going back to that career option, so we talked about Associates of Applied Science and certificates. We have over 30 AAS degrees and over 90 certificates. These are those direct to career options. This example here is for our welding and fabrication. So if you're somebody who wants something fast and only, like for this case, just welding, then that production welding certificate is only 5 classes that are only in welding. You're going to get those skills that you need to go into that welding career. And then maybe you stop there. But a lot of our students decide that, oh, there's just a little bit more, 2 more classes, I'll get that basic welding technician certificate. And then after that, just 2 more classes, you even have an even higher level certificate, which you'll put on your resume, get better working opportunities. And then just another 10 classes after that, you get your full associate's degree in welding and fabrication. So some people really like that stepstone approach to build up their experiences over time, especially if they want to start with like a smaller goal and then move on. So another option for career, or if you're like, you know what, I do want that associate's degree right off the bat, we can start planning for that right from the beginning and go and get that full associate's degree too. So if you're interested in becoming an MCC student, this is a snapshot of what the application and next steps might look like. You're going to see it actually looks a lot like that sequence that they just talked about for the college process generally. So the applications come first, then apply for FAFSA, and then spring apply for the scholarships, send us your high school information, the transcripts, all that stuff, which is not required for admission, but we do want to see that for placements and for other things. And then after that, it'll be summertime, you'll be registering for your classes. So get that started as soon as September 2nd. That's coming up really shortly is when you'll see that application. If you're an early graduate and you're graduating in December, you're thinking about starting MCC in January, then you want to start this process right now, and everything's even faster, a little bit faster. So talk to us if you are considering starting in January with us for spring 2026. Everybody who is a McHenry student can use the code McHenry to waive the application fee, so you don't have to pay the $15 for the application itself. So I encourage anybody to come out to our college, check us out, give us an email or a call. We are happy to help you through the process or talk through options and walk you around if you want to see it. Then finally, this is my contact information as well as the rest of my team. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. The number one thing is to just get started, start with one question, one application, whatever you need to do to start the process. Thank you so much.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much. I'm going to pull my other colleagues, Ms. Schock and Ms. Buchanan, back on stage here as well. Just as a reminder to our live viewers, you can submit questions right now in real time.
Everyone's coming up on screen, but I know that it's loading.
Yep, I think we're all good here. So again, our live viewers, you can submit questions right here in real time that we can respond to them. To give our live viewers one more chance to ask any questions right now, I'm going to throw a question at. I'm going to go with Ms. Buchanan. So Ms. Buchanan, here is a question for you. What is one piece of advice you would give to seniors right now? So,
Sorry,
yep.
I was muted. If you have not gone on college visits yet, please talk to your parents about doing those immediately, because it's a big deal to actually go onto the campus to make sure that you feel that you are a fit for that campus and that environment. So that would be my biggest thing if you haven't done that yet, to make sure that you're looking into what the college offers and then making arrangements for a visit.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ms. Schock, I'm going to ask you the same question in just a moment. And one more chance for our live viewers to ask any questions. Type them right into the comment section. Submit them there on YouTube, and we can see those. So, Ms. Schock, what is one piece of advice that you would give for seniors?
Make an appointment with us, myself, Ms. Buchanan, Mr. Mankey. I know a lot of students have already been foot trafficking down here to talk with Mr. Mankey and myself and Ms. Buchanan. So keep doing that, whether you already know for sure what you want to do and you just have a specific question, or you have no clue and no idea where to start. Just make an appointment with us and we'll start from square one, meet you where you're at, and then we'll figure out what the next steps are.
Absolutely love it. Thank you both for those responses. I do not see any questions that have come in. So on behalf of my colleagues, Ms. Schock from McHenry, Ms. Buchanan from McHenry, and of course, Kristen from MCC, thank you to our live viewers. Thank you to those of you watching the recorded version on YouTube. And remember to ask yourself and your students, what are you looking forward to?